Hello, I am Lyrical, and welcome back to the Week 2 review of my hardcore world. Yeah, that's right. Long pause. But not actually a lot has happened since the first one. I'm gonna be honest, the entirety of last week was spent on building this monstrosity. That's right, the Prismarine base I built in the creative world on Bedrock over 2 years ago has now come to life in pure survival in my Java hardcore world. I'm still working on getting the final finishing touches, which is the chains in place. Those are taking a really long time because they are so annoying. But I have gotten all of this Prismarine from the Guardian farm I showed in the last video update, along with 380 levels that comes from it. I've got the draining, I've got the nether portal, I've got the 4 islands that the chains will rest on, I've got the huge 2 spheres and the little thingy in the middle, I've got the bubble elevator right here that we can stand right here and it'll take us all the way up to the top. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these things here, because in the old one there were chests lined all along the Prismarine, but I'm not sure I want to do that because I actually do want to build a storage system, maybe in a basement below the main drained part. If we take a look at it from the side, I haven't really added the stairs along the ledges here because I probably won't do that because it'll take a while. But yeah, this is what I've been up to for the past week. The glass honestly was not really that much of a challenge. Sea pickles, I'm right next to it. I made a skeleton farm thinking I would need a ton of bone meal for sea pickles, but it turns out I really only needed about 10 to 12 stacks of sea pickles, which really was nothing. I have way too much bone meal left over from AFKing only for 2 hours at a skeleton farm, which I will show in a bit. I found it while caving, but I believe it's one of these shulkers. I think it's this one. Way too much bone meal left over. But aside from that, I've set up only one other farm because this took the entire time. I made a squid farm that produces some amount of ink sacs per hour. It's not much. In total, I've spent almost 2 entire days this week just AFKing here. One was just a full day straight, and then like a bunch of other increments of hours just over time. I spent an entire day making it. I had to drain 120 blocks of river, both directions. I didn't even do it all because there's a huge underwater lake and ravine that I just left alone. It still produces enough without them, though, luckily. So I don't really need to drain those. I've got way too many hoppers under here that funnel into this chest collection system and go all the way to the bottom. And then I have a little AFK room right here. This is where I sit and I seal it up and I just wait. I've thought about like leaving it running so I don't need to AFK while I'm like sleeping, but I'm way too afraid of something happening while I'm asleep, so I'm not gonna do that. But we have the squid farm that produced me shulker boxes upon shulker boxes of ink sacs, and in total about 3 out of the 7 days since I've last made an update video was spent right here. Another like 1.5 was spent at the Guardian farm, and then another 1 entire day was spent draining the part. So the building really didn't actually take that long. The building was way faster than the grinding for materials and the draining. If we go back to my main base all the way back here, nothing's really happened besides I set up a skeleton farm. Well, because I found a skeleton spawner. It's actually really close by. Don't know why, but somehow there's like 2 spawners right below. Maybe more, I haven't explored much, but I found this while caving, and so I felt it was too far to connect the staircase up to, because the staircase goes that way, and by the time I was at the right Y level, I was like 100 blocks down, because this thing is almost at bedrock level. But if we go down all the way, we can see the skeleton farm. It's gonna take a minute. it's not much. I'm not gonna actually bother going all the way down. It's really just the zombie farm, but skeletons instead of zombies. AFK'd there for like 2 hours and got already way too many bones, way more than I would ever need. So now I just have a ton of bone meal sitting there, waiting to do absolutely nothing. They'll be there for the rest of eternity. But this week, I haven't really done nearly as much as I did last week. Nothing's really changed. It's really just been setting up the squid farm, AFKing at both the farms, and then building the Megabase. Which, the main build part is almost done. It's just decorations now, and by decorations I mean the 4 chains. The other 2 towers that have to go. I might do 4 towers this time instead of 2 on either side. But those still have to go up. That means I'll have to AFK for even longer. And then I don't think I'm gonna do the blackstone and crying obsidian bands around it either, because that isn't gonna be very fun to grind for, because you can't get crying obsidian through normal means. You have to get it from piglin bartering. That's my what's it called, sea pickle farm right there. I've got the 4 things right here ready to have their chains put on them, but it's taking a really long time. Just these 3 and a like 5th chains right here, just these 3 took like 10 minutes. It's insane. Building diagonally in the air like this is really, really torturous. I find it really funny that one wheel all the way around, well, not an entire wheel, but like just a band of it, took less time than draining 1/13 of the base. Filling in the glass after putting one of the prismarine bands, just filling in the glass also took like less time than it took to do 1/13 of this, because I only have 29 sponges. So I split these into 13ths. I know it's an odd number, but that's just every 4, and since this is, if on the inside, it's actually exactly 4. Excluding the walls, on the inside only, it is exactly 4 chunks by 4 chunks. I placed a block every 4th that did give me 13 segments, which I feel like was weird. I feel like that's not enough, but I counted and it was 13. And each one of those 13 segments took almost half an hour individually, so I spent literally an entire day doing nothing but draining that. It was worth it though, because this base is no longer a dream, it is a reality. It is right here, and I am so close to being done with it. That's really all the progress I made. Hopefully I'll have more next week. I'll be able to I'm taking a break over the weekend because I've been working on this whole hardcore world for over 2 weeks straight. Gonna take a bit of a break over the weekend. I'll come back to it maybe on Monday or Tuesday. Maybe it'll be a long break, I have no idea. But for that, I think that's really it. There hasn't been much. When I come back, I'll finish the base, get some more farms. I think my next farm on the list is going to be a gold farm. So I'm going to head up onto the nether roof and get a bunch of magma blocks and make one of those. But until then, I guess I'll see you in the next update, which might be week 3, might actually be the 4th week of this existing, maybe, probably. Okay, bye.